second, third and fourth all have a very similar colour scheme, so we'll have to wait until they appear in the queue. Yes, he has. He's hung on to third place as they head round through Corham for the first time. Ed Giddings has converted pole position into the early lead of the race. Chris Murphy with a good start up into second place. And front row starter Jamie Jeffrey is down into third and under attack.
Not the start that he'd have been hoping for there, and I think he'll be probably fairly surprised. It's not his car, he's someone that can't take part this weekend, don't forget, so he's still getting used to it. So off the start there, and let's not forget Chris Murphy is used to these rolling starts and all his GT racing exploits, so he's been able to really make that experience count there and jumped up into second. Ed Giddings is doing a great job there, and if for anybody who heard the interview after qualifying, he was bedding in the brakes in that qualifying session, then playing sort of driver coach to his dad, Eric Giddings, in the number 7 car, who has made up a place and is up into 9th place. So that coaching seems to be working wonders for him at the moment. And you know, he was therefore hoping that he would be as dominant as he has been thus far this season. But don't forget that he hasn't had Jamie Jeffrey in a 3-litre Z4 against him so far this year. Chris Murphy's actually raced against him so far this year. He was there because at Donington he was on GT Cup duty, so he was glued to it on the pit wall watching. He's a real advocate of what the Jeffreys have done here to get this series really going. But if anything, it now looks like that lead is under pressure, Mark.
It certainly is, yeah.
It was. It's the other way now.
It's the other way now. All of a sudden, Jamie Jeffrey is caught up with Chris Murphy, which has released Ed Giddings to breathe a relative sigh of relief. So through the right-hander, ready to start lap number 3 goes Ed Giddings, still with Chris Murphy and Jamie Jeffrey second and third, but separated by just 0.4 of a second, with Jamie Jeffries having posted on the first flying lap, the fastest lap of the race we've seen so far, 1 minute 26.618, which is only, what, about a tenth of a second slower than he did in qualifying, Jamie Jeffries.
So he might not have got the best start, but he's getting that cranked back up again now, isn't he? And still getting used to it, and he's hopefully dialed out that understeer that they had yesterday. He said he felt a bit more comfortable with it in that qualifying session. Maybe he's even more comfortable with it again. Temperatures may be sort of increased on track. I'm not sure what effect that will have for them, but you can only shoot that Chris Murphy. Because I'm sure as they were coming around forward, it was the front two that Chris Murphy had 72 car all over the back of him, and then suddenly when they came into our sight along the straight, it was actually Jamie Jeffrey. As I was just able to peer at the back here from my commentary box, the 4th place car of Steve Wood went very wide on the exit of Murray's there and went sort of all the way along the grass, bouncing at times before he even managed to rejoin the circuit. So that wouldn't have been a good time for him. No, it wasn't, into the 130s that time round, and lost contact with the lead 3 cars a little bit further.
Yeah, it cost him 2.5 seconds. Look at the lead battle that is on now for the Z3 category. Up towards Ritchie's they'll go. It is going to be the car of Callum Tuckett under enormous pressure from Julian Jeffrey. Julian Jeffrey's attacking here on the run up towards Wilson. Is he going to be able to work his way through? This is for 5th and 6th place, but for the lead of the Z3 category, and it does look as though we have had the change. Julian Jeffrey, who is already 4 times a race winner in the Z3 category, has now taken the lead of the class.
Just exited Nelson is the 2nd and 3rd place battle for the Z4s, and it's still very, very close. Jack Steve Wood the camera waiting to appear under the bridge at the end of Bentley Straight. He's coming back at him again, and I think that Tucker's just dived up the inside there. I'm not surprised, but he just sat in the
the toe for as long as he could, had the extra momentum, jigged out, and was able to grab the place. Still leading the race. Look at the spoilers going on for second and third place. Chris Murphy under enormous pressure. He's got Jamie Jeffrey right behind him, but the door is not going to be open as they head up towards Ritchie's corner. Chris Murphy sweeps across, grabs the apex. Jamie Jeffrey at the moment is just too far behind still.
I'm sure that they came onto the straight side by side then. I'm not sure whether Chris Murphy's just struggling a little bit with through Murphy's with his setup, but by the time they got back onto the straight, he was able to just floor it and keep Jamie Jeffrey behind him. Here comes the Z3 battle towards us now.
It's up at Ritchie's.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was just looking at all this, then it means that there's more fighting going back here, so my bad. I got confused then.
No, they're just on the way up towards a braking area for Wilson at the moment, and it's Callum Tuckett that is still just ahead of the Jeffrey. They're heading down to the top section of the Bentley Straight already through Brundle and Nelson, and sprinting up towards the bomb hole are the leading trio. Was ever still Giddings leading the race. 13 minutes of the race still to go. This titanic scrap still going on for second and third position, but Jamie Jeffrey has not been able to unlock the door to second place yet because of the good driving by so he should hopefully have just enough momentum to still hang on to second.
Certainly, it does look to me as though there's sort of like strengths and weaknesses at different parts of the circuits, even though they're both 3 litres M4. Whether it's just the setup piece, like whether as drivers they've just got preferences to different parts of this circuit, but it just ebbs and flows on that proverbial piece of elastic.
Here comes the Z3 battle up towards the conclusion of yet another lap, still with Callum Tuckett having taken the lead of that class back a few laps ago. At the moment, we've not had Julian Jeffrey mount another real challenge to try and squeeze his way through, so they're still fighting over 5th and 6th place, separated by 0.7 of a second. The fastest lap of the race is still that woman in 26.618 that was posted on lap 2, the first of the flying laps, by the third place car, Julian Jeffrey, who now for the 6th time is just pressing on down in towards the braking area for Brundle the race by 2.4 seconds from the squabbling pair in the second and third place, but it is still just in second place Chris Murphy.
The number 7 car, which is dad to Ed Giddings, the race leader, and in qualifying we saw him suddenly being driver coached by his son. Both, his son followed him for a little while and watched, and then went in front to try and guide his dad. Well, not only has Eric Giddings, the number 7 car, moved up from 10th to 9th place, was the last lap. His best is 135.404, so regularly down to 135.4. His best time in qualifying was a 136.8, so he's found even more mark between qualifying and race.
Yeah, another 1 point.
Great progress.
5 seconds almost, isn't it? Over the start-finish line go the leading pair, that time through the leading trio. The second, the order still remains the same. Ed Giddings, Chris Murphy, Jamie Jeffrey, cars number 43, 72 and 4 respectively, very much on his own now. Places Z3 class, well, it's still Callum Tuckett. This time, though, it looks as though Julian Jeffrey might just have closed the gap up a bit more. He has. He was 0.3 of a second quicker that time through. So for 5th and 6th place, the gap is now less than half a second as they head on to lap number 7.
I was just checking. Z3s is that we get the top 3 for the Z4s as you'd expect, but we do get to see the top of the Z3, so that's good. We get to speak to them about how great the fight is between the two of them. I know they were looking for. Julian Jeffrey seemed pretty convinced that it would be Mr. Tuckett would take it, but he's not sitting back on that one, is he? He's prepared to give it a go.
Yeah, no, he's certainly pushing him as hard as he possibly can. They'll be down towards the bottom section of the circuit at the moment. Round through Brundle and through Nelson, still the Callum Tuckett with that very small margin between himself and Julian Jeffrey. Julian Jeffrey might just have a bit of a run towards the bottom. He's just frustrated. He's just too far away. The top 3 over the start-finish line. Gap first to second is 2.6 seconds. Gap second to third is a further 0.4. There goes the car of Stephen Woodall on his own. Hanging on to the lead of the Z3 class. Right, problems and slow. All of a sudden it's Julian Jeffrey.
Oh, no.
So that has somewhat now evaporated that squabble. Was that a big misgear, or is there a problem for Julian Jeffrey? He's getting momentum back, but that's suggesting that there might be a gearbox issue or something like that with the car.
Chambers is that was something 2:31 now, getting lapped by the lead car, so he obviously had a bit of a moment out there on that last tour. It's still going, so it must have just been a Tony wild ride. Julian Jeffrey, he went past the pit in, didn't he? So in other words, he didn't feel it was a retirement issue, and I was waiting to see him get back up to speed, as you call it, a potential misgear or something, but he didn't really seem to be getting back up to speed.
It was as though he was in a much higher gear all of a sudden. Second and got to fifth or something silly like that rather than third. Yeah, makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yeah, Ed Giddings back over the start finish line, 8 laps completed, leader. Second is 2.9 seconds now between the race leader and Chris Murphy in second place. Chris Murphy and Jamie Jeffrey lapped to within 1/1000th of a second of each other last time through. It was a 1:27.497 from Chris Murphy, a 1:27.498 from Jamie Jeffrey.
You can't even say it's just because they've bumped into bumper that's forced that. There's enough of a gap there that doesn't. Here comes Julian Jeffrey now, and he's. I think he's back behind the number 16 car of Tomlinson, isn't he? But he's all over the back of him, so he is back up to speed.
Telltale, that one was still going to be that little bit slower, but yeah, 33.8 is still a couple of seconds off his previous best. He needs to find some clear air again. I think it was just a big misgear was the problem, and maybe seventh on the heels of the sixth place car, and might be able to work his way through, but the squabble for the lead of that Z3 category unfortunately is now separated to the tune of 7.5 seconds.
Such a shame, because we were bigging it up and enjoying that one, as I'm sure they were. You can always tell that Julian Jeffrey comes in with a whopping great big smile on his face. Leader comes through again, 9 laps completed for Ed Giddings. It does look like he is able to sort of be in control of that race. What have we got? His message at 126. 126.4 he did in qualifying, where he felt that he was taking it fairly steadily.
Well, he's had 4 race victories out of the 4 races. Now, they've not all been 20-minute races at Cadwell Park. They were 15-minute races, but the longest winning margin for Ed Giddings. 20-minute races. Only 12 seconds and 9.7 seconds. 15-minute races. He's still got that one. Snetterton, 2.5 seconds he leads over Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy's still under attack from Jamie Jeffrey, and very much on his own now. That is a lonely 4th place, isn't it, really, for Steve Wood? He's 16 seconds off the cars ahead of him.
Versus a 127.4, so there's quite a bit that we can expect him to be able to find in that car. He did have the wild moment exiting Murray's that I did sort of see the tail end of that, where it looked like he went bouncing a little bit as well, so hopefully that's not unsettled anything in the car, and he'll be able to sort of get himself in the zone. But these guys have sort of disappeared off into the distance. I say that, I thought as much, is that gap's now down under 2 seconds between first and second place. I'm sure
Jamie Jeffrey had to wait until the exit of Ritchie's corner, so whilst the gap has come down on one lap, I think you'll find that it will stretch again over the course of this lap. We're into the final 5 minutes of the race as well. 10 laps completed. Ed Giddings continues to lead.
Does indeed. So once they get themselves into that fresh air, Chris Murphy and Jamie Jeffrey are going to be able to do anything. I don't think there's any sort of sentiment of working together to try and reel Ed Giddings. They just know that the real fight is because go by, they know that Ed can just sort of play with the left wheel like a cat with a ball string, frankly. Julian Jeffrey's got back ahead of the 16 car of Tomlinson, so that moves him back up again to a little bit closer to Tuckett. So What lap time did we get? And he's back to virtually identical to his best time, so it was just a momentary blip there, Mark.
Yeah, it could only have been a missed gear. So there's roughly 6.2 seconds between Callum Tuckett and Julian Jeffrey, 4 minutes to go, and it's pretty much an impossible task and reliant on a similar issue to strike Callum Tuckett. The number 41 car still comfortably now leading the Z3 category.
Comfortably leading the Z4s now. Ed Giddings, you're right, he's pulled that back to 2.8. He's made up about a second that time round. So Dad did him a real favour there, didn't he?
It was just purely where they met Eric Giddings, and yeah, Ed did it in the perfect place for him. Chris Murphy and Jeffrey. Through goes Steve Wood in his lonely fourth position, car number 82. Fifth place is number 51, which is Callum Tuckett, still leading the Z3 class. He's just turning his way round through Coram now, and Julian Jeffrey in the white number 28 Z3, as you suggested, now back inside the top six, trying to hunt down Callum Tuckett, so he's pushing on
I cannot believe for a second that Callum Tuckett will actually sort of hang fire and wait for him, because that was known when they were in the MSVR All-Comers. They'd make sure they have the fight. That's 4.6 this time, so that's a whopping great chunk taken out there. I think it's as much as Callum Tuckett not waiting, but just knowing he doesn't need to push any harder. We've only got 2 minutes 40 left to go, so a couple more laps, and he's got still a 4.6 second lead.
Yeah, the closest battle that we've got is still for second and third place overall. Chris Murphy and Jamie Jeffrey, who've been locked in those positions race long. The only change in the order really was when the lights went out. Chris Murphy got the better start and was able to work his way through into second place, which he has held ever since. And now with 0.6 of a second between the pair of them, that's probably about the largest the gap has been. It grew by another 1/10 of a second that time through. With 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go, they're on their penultimate lap as well, so still another 4 miles to go. So they're completing 12 laps in this particular race.
I'm just looking at Eric Giddings. I think this is his next lesson. Number 7 car is that he's learned from his son and got some racing lights, but I think the stamina element kicks in, and it's really hot out there. You probably haven't felt it because you've been up here, but it really is very, very
The gap doesn't look like this time through 5th to 6th place. Remember, it was 4.7, give or take the odd thousand last time through. Through goes Callum Tuckett, through goes Julian Jeffrey. Now, second, with 2 laps to go. That's doable, you know.
They're going to be close, aren't they? I think he's going to catch him up, but I don't think he's going to get up there soon enough, especially as I still believe that Callum Tuckett's just kind of taking it at a steady pace to see it through to the conclusion. Ed Giddings, that gap now between first and second, that's up to nearly 4.6 seconds. It's fair to say he's got that under control, hasn't he?
Yeah, certainly has. It all looks to be going beautifully well as far as Ed Giddings is concerned. Just as slowly eked out the gap was Chris Murphy in second place. As they doing battle or just really having to watch what Jamie Jeffrey behind him is up to.
Realises that the front end of that Z3 and its rear view mirror is just getting that little bit large. 3.5 almost at the start of the lap this time. Well be with it. Giddings comes through and makes it 5 wins out of 5 races in the 2019 Ted Class Racing Series. There was a change for second and third in the end. Jamie Jeffrey unlocked the door somehow and snuck through into second position ahead of Chris Murphy. Jamie Jeffrey comes through and finishes in second place. Number 72, Chris Murphy, down into third place.
place. The lapped car just heading over the start finish line now is Paul Brightsport, so he will finish a lap adrift in 8th place. I'm not quite sure where that change occurred.
No, absolutely, and I think Chris Murphy will be kicking himself because it looked like he had that largely under control, to be honest, didn't he? That second place, he was just able to manage that gap.